So today's video is about using tape diagrams to help solve ratio word problems. So the following ratio, 3 parts yellow paint to 2 parts blue paint, is used to make green paint. And what a tape diagram does is all it does is it basically uses pictures to help you see what the ratio is actually comparing. So we want to look at this ratio that's going to make green paint, and we know that if we mix yellow paint with blue paint, well, it will make green. So this specific recipe says that if we take 3 parts yellow paint and mix it with 2 parts blue paint, then we will get green. So then what is the total number of parts represented? And as you can see, if we count each one of the rectangles, there are 5 parts represented that will make this green paint. And how much of the total does each rectangle represent? And it's 1/5. Now if the tape diagram shows 5 cups of paint, then each of these rectangles would represent how much? Well, if together these represent 5 cups, then each rectangle would have to be 1 cup. And if the diagram represented a total of 1 whole gallon, then each rectangle would represent how much? Well, if you look again at the tape diagram, then if this represented 1 whole gallon, then each part would be 1/5 of a gallon. So what part of the gallon is yellow paint? Well, because it's 3 of the rectangles, then we would say that the yellow paint is 3/5 of a gallon. So tape diagrams are used to help us see each of the groups, because if you think about ratios in terms of a group, well, this one group of yellow and blue paint will make green paint when it's all mixed together. So let's use this tape diagram to determine how many cups of yellow paint we would need in order to make 15 cups of green paint. So if one recipe makes 5 cups of green paint, so if we mix 3 cups of yellow with 2 cups of blue, we'll get a total of 5 cups of green paint. Then we want to know, well, how much yellow paint are we going to need in order to make 15 cups of green paint? Well, if we do another mixture of the 3 yellow to the 2 blue, then again that's going to make us another 5 cups of this green paint. So now together we have 10 cups of green paint. So then if we do another set of this mixture and we do another 3 cups of yellow paint to another 2 cups of blue paint, again that's going to make us another 5 cups of this green paint, which now gives us a total of 15 cups of green paint. So now the question is, well, how much yellow paint did we need to use? Well, if we look at our diagram and we count how many yellow we needed all together, we see that together we needed a total of 9 cups of yellow paint. So if I count all my yellow blocks, I see that in order to make 15 cups of green paint, I will need 9 cups of yellow paint. And if we wanted to further the question, we would see that we would need 9 cups of yellow. And if we look at the blue, we see that we need 6 cups of blue. So slimy gloopy mixture is made by mixing glue and liquid laundry starch in a ratio of 3:2. And remember, the order that the statement is in is the order that the ratio is in. So that means the 3 goes with the glue and then the laundry starch goes with the 2. So how much glue and how much starch is needed to make 85 cups of the slimy gloopy mixture? So we're going to start by making our first tape diagram based off of the first ratio. So in order to make this slimy gloopy, we're going to need 3 cups of glue and 2 cups of starch. And then of course together that's going to make us 5 cups of this slimy gloopy mixture. Well, we need 85 cups of this slimy gloopy mixture. So we need to figure out, if we've got to make 85 cups, how many of these mixtures do I need to make if each one of them makes 5 cups? So the first thing we need to do is figure out how many batches we're going to have to make. Well, if we take our 85 that we need and we divide it by the 5 cups that each of these mixtures or each batch will make, it means that we're going to need to make 17 batches of this slimy gloopy. So if we need to make 17 batches of the slimy gloopy to get 85 cups, we need to first figure out, well, then that means how many cups of glue will we use? Well, we know that we can use multiplication to help us do that. Well, we know that every mixture needs 3 cups of glue. So if we need 17 mixtures, then if we do 3 times 17, that means we're going to need 51 cups of glue. And then we know that every mixture is going to need 2 cups of starch. So if we do 2 times 17, because we got to do 17 mixtures, that means we're going to need 34 cups of starch. So all together, we're going to need 51 cups of glue and 34 cups of starch to make 85 cups of this slimy, gloopy mixture. So then our last example, the ratio of boys to girls in Mrs. Kingsbury's class is 3 to 2. And we know the 3 goes with the boys and the 2 goes with the girls. If there are 12 boys in the class, how many girls are there? Again, you have to look at the ratio as one group. And when you do your tape diagram, you need to base it off of that first ratio. So this first ratio is represented here. So we have the 3 boys and the 2 girls. So if we took Miss Kingsbury's class and we put them into groups that had the same number of boys and the same number of girls in every group, there would be 3 boys in every group and 2 girls. Well, together, that's only giving me 5 students, and that's only giving me 3 boys. So that means I've got to have more than one group. So if there are 12 boys in the class, how many girls are there? So I know that every group is going to have 3 boys. So then if I add 3 more groups, that means now I have a total of 12 boys because I have 3 boys in every group. That means I'm going to need 4 groups with the 3 boys in order to get a total of 12 boys. Well, keep in mind that for every group of 3 boys, there are 2 girls. So that means with this group here, there are 3 boys, which means there has to be 2 girls in this group. And then here we have 3 boys, which means, again, there has to be 2 girls in this group. And again, here we have 2 boys, which means here, again, there has to be 2 girls in this group, which means if there are 12 boys in the class, if we look at how many girls, there has to be 2, 4, 6, 8. So there are 8 girls in Miss Kingsbury's class. So the ratio is 3 boys for every 2 girls. Keep in mind that's going to represent like one group. And if there are 12 boys in the class, then there has to be 8 girls in the class. So tape diagrams help us have a visual of what each of the ratios are actually comparing. And then if we keep repeating the tape diagram, it can help us answer bigger questions.